Hello, thank you, and welcome to Serverless Monitoring Checklist, where we're going to go over how to monitor a serverless application. My name is Amy Arambulo Negrette. I've been building apps for a little over 12 years, and it's important for me to know that they work and I can prove it. So what is serverless? It still sounds a little buzzwordy, but what it is an event-driven, cloud-native, service-based application architecture, using cloud parts instead of making new ones. General monitoring goals is to know what an app is doing. Is it up, down, over, and underutilized? And how is it doing it? The important thing to know is that it is not testing. Monitoring explicitly identifies a behavior that can be acted on through metrics. So traditionally, all of these logs can be found by bootstrapping a server to dump all of the logs into one place. The request failures, utilization, all of those we can know immediately and know where to find it. However, when we do it serverlessly, what we end up having is that it ends up going to different places depending on the service. Whether or not it's down, we may not care if it's underutilized anymore, and the only people who end up knowing what it's doing is your devs. So if it's down, it means a component has gone non-responsive, preventing the full function of a service, and it will go down, with or without you, so what we actually want are no surprises. Some services that are never down, like queues and ETLs, are okay that they're always able to be accessed or written to or read from because they're managed by the cloud. Some services are often down, like fast, and that's okay because they scale to get zero when they're not in use. The problem lies when the ones that are sometimes down are actually always up, because then it's probably cheaper just to put that back into a server. The ones that are always up, if they ever go down, it means their permissions have changed. And it's very hard, because of this, to tell when something is actually down. So what you want to check for are data gaps and periods of maximum requests. Basically, either you stop being able to access a service or nothing's going through. Whether or not something is over and underutilized, it really means how much the service is being used. Since serverless is pay by usage and you don't pay when it's idle, it's okay that it probably is going to stay idle for long periods of time. The only question is you need to know what these windows are so that you know when it's actually down. And also, if things that can sometimes be down are running all the time, then it's probably easier to just put that stuff back into a server instead of a managed service. So what do you want to check for are data gaps, as well as timeouts and memory issues. As for what it's doing, these can be any number of places depending on the service. If it's network traffic, it's going to be held in a separate place than your application metadata. And you would need another service to aggregate both of these types of logs together. If you use a third-party service, it can give you an overall picture, but you do end up paying a premium price for it. Still, it may be worth it to get human-readable reports. So what do you check for? It's network traffic and its application behavior as it's being logged through whatever internal logging service you have, as well as service health. Because sometimes it may be the cloud's fault. God knows it's happened before. So whose job is it to make sure all of these things get monitored? Well, the application engineer needs to tell what DevOps what these limits are so they know when things are down and when things are just idle. DevOps needs to know what these limits are so that they can reconcile the infrastructure performance with the application performance. Basically, if you touch it, it's your responsibility. So overall, monitoring does have the same goals, it just ends up going to different places. And because it goes to different places, it ends up being a shared responsibility.